We are in Proverbs chapter 8. We are in a section where wisdom is speaking of its past. Wisdom, of course, is personified as a woman, and wisdom speaks of being ancient and of being around at creation. So wisdom is seen here as a witness. This, I was there, I saw this, and so let's continue in that. Verse 27 is where we ended up, so we'll just start there. When He, that's God, established the heavens, I was there. When He drew a circle on the face of the deep. When He made firm the skies above, when He established the fountains of the deep, when He assigned to the sea its limit so that the waters might not transgress His command, when He marked out the foundations of the earth. So here wisdom is giving details about creation that we don't get at creation, but we knew would have to be, that there would have to be physics controlling certain things, such as enormous amounts of water. All right, there has to be physics with that, and that I can imagine, having never done it, but I imagine there would be a massive problem in trying to set oceans of billions and billions of tons of water on a spinning object, which is what the earth is. Okay? And of course God can do it, and there's no problem with that, but there has to be, and there is a command to the water in all this, but wisdom is there. Wisdom witnesses this. This is wisdom speaking. And what is what's the lesson? The lesson is wisdom is eternal. Wisdom has always been with God. All right, not that wisdom is embodied, unless we're going to say that wisdom is the embodiment of God. Or vice versa. God is the embodiment of wisdom. But wisdom, of course, can be held by someone, accepted by someone, used by someone, but it isn't a someone. But here, of course, this is in poetic language, but it is teaching the truth. It is teaching that wisdom is from the Ancient of Days. Wisdom was around when the earth was established, and I would have to say could not have been established without wisdom. Wisdom defined is knowledge, not just any knowledge, but knowledge of the truth that is applied. Because one can be ignorant of the truth and you're not going to be able to apply it. One can know the truth and, like a fool, just doesn't care about the truth. Okay, I can know that electricity is dangerous, and if I take a hold of this wire and I take a hold of that wire, that I'm going to get electrocuted. All right, I can have that knowledge. And I can decide I'm going to respect that and leave it alone, or I can be a fool and just touch them. All right, wisdom would say, you know better, therefore do better. Whereas folly is just do whatever you want. Ignore what the truth is and pretend that it doesn't exist. Ignore all of that. Think that you know better. Think that it doesn't apply to you. Think that you are above that. Whatever the rationale hardly matters, because it ends up in the same place. Foolishness ends up in a very bad spot. And there will be consequences for foolishness. Consequences will come around. Every action has a result. And refraining from certain things has a result. And refraining from touching two live wires may result in life because you didn't touch those two live wires. God has complete wisdom. complete. And wisdom is also, because we are free moral agents, we too must have wisdom to live. We must have it. And we have a God who has supplied all the wisdom we need. He has supplied it. And in the book of Proverbs, wisdom is personified of a woman that calls out. She calls out. And so this is the wisdom of God that is present every day, calling out. Pay attention, listen to my words. Pay attention. And it's like dealing with an adolescent. An adolescent is thinking they can do, something. I remember, actually, let's change this. I remember when I was a kid, small. I was probably about the first grade. And thinking I could pick myself up by just taking my hair and lift myself up. And it just seemed like, 6 years old, it seems like, yeah, that would work. But, and then you think, well, why isn't anybody else doing that? Nobody does that. And so you try it, okay, and all you do is pull your hair. All right, yeah, my haircut doesn't allow much pulling, and it didn't work. Okay, and my point is, reality wins every day. Reality wins every time. That you if you don't know what it is, you're going to find out. But foolishness would deny the call of reality too. Foolishness would just say, I know this brings about problems. I know this brings about more consequences, but I'm going to do it anyway, simply because I want to do it. Now, just like the laws of physics had to be in place before there is any matter on this in this material realm. Laws of physics have to be in place. That says this is what gravity is. This is how light travels. This is how atoms are held together. All that had to be in place. God had to have all the laws of physics down before He begins creating things. Those things had to have existed. Or He's going to be developing them such as let there be light, that with those words, not only do you have light, but you have all the properties and the physics of light at that instant. And in creating the world, with it had to be gravity. He can either have the laws in place and then create inside those laws, or the laws are going to have to be in place as He's doing it. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Because the laws of physics are going to be how atoms attach themselves to each other, how all these particles work together. It all has to be in place to where you have, iron is an element. I don't want to get too bogged down in this. Iron is an element, all right? And the elements have to be defined. They have to be. Oxygen, hydrogen, all those things are elements, and how all these things work. Now, I've said that to say this, that He too would have to have a law for the inhabitants of earth before Adam and Eve. Wisdom is there. Wisdom is there. And of course, we know that you have in the mind of God, knowing precisely what He was going to do, precisely what was going to happen, and that there had to be the Christ come to this earth before there even was an earth. God knowing all things. Had to. And that, as we will see in this, wisdom is ready for mankind before the wisdom that's going to be given to us. Wisdom that's going to be given to us is ready before mankind even begins. And we see it from here, as a matter of fact. Verse 30, Then I was beside him like a master workman, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing before him always. Verse 31, rejoicing in his inhabited world and delighting in the children of man. So he's there, pre-inhabited world. Wisdom. Wisdom is there, pre-inhabited world. Wisdom delights when it's inhabited. You have Adam and Eve, and then their children, and then grandchildren, on and on and on. To us today, that wisdom delighted. Wisdom had, because we are to take hold of wisdom. And wisdom wants us to take hold of her. But we can get all bogged down in thinking that wisdom is a person. Wisdom's not a person, but God is. And God gives us wisdom. But it has to be applied. Wisdom must be applied. You cannot just turn it off and turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, and turn it on. That's not wisdom at all. That, in fact, is foolish, is what that is. I will act wisely when I want to. I'll forego when I want to, and I'll come back when I want to. And that's not really the way it works. Let's define wisdom once again. Wisdom is knowledge applied, and knowledge of the truth. Just basic knowledge, like, okay, I'm wearing a blue shirt. All right, that is knowledge. But how do you apply that knowledge? Probably you won't. All right. How would that be for a moral decision? Probably it won't be. Wisdom is going to be in moral decisions. That's where wisdom comes in. I can be the worst sort of a person when it comes to with just mathematics or finances, or the worst sort of person in understanding certain medical matters. I can be the worst. I will never be judged because I was bad at understanding medical things. I'm not going to be judged because of that. But I will be judged because whether I took God's wisdom or not, which is always on moral decisions. Always. There's not a single thing in here except for the advice that Solomon gives concerning that of not being security for someone. Chapter 6, 1 through 5. Do not be security for your neighbor. All right. Now that's not a moral decision there. That's just actually more practical. That you're going to get yourself into a bind because they may very well not pay, and now you've got to pay. You've got to pay for their mistakes. Okay, but wisdom is going to be moral decisions. Okay, personified means I take something that's not a person, and now I am presenting them or writing about them. Writing about that thing as though it is a person. Okay. Yeah. Such as I could personify love. Okay, love's not a person. I can personify love. What does love do? Well, we'll just make love a she. She has compassion. She has and she always has open arms. We could do that. And to personify something is to make what's not a person appear like a person. A fool can know that go drinking, you're going to end up drunk, and there will be something occurred. And it's a roll of the dice as to, you may wake up and you're in bed where you ought to be, or you may wake up in jail, such as, I was talking this just the other day. I knew a man that he was put in prison for several years. He killed 2 people, drunk driver. And I knew him when he was out of prison. And he talked about that he went got drunk, and then woke up in jail, had no idea what happened. He had to be told, you killed a woman and her child. She had a stroller with a baby in it, and you killed them both. Okay, and he had no idea whatsoever. But someone can know this is bad, this is good, and this is why this is bad. These are the potential things that could happen, but do it anyway. All right, that is foolishness. Of course, one can be ignorant, and one can also be naive, and one can be like a simpleton, or someone who's simple, but they can be taught. Wisdom says it can teach anybody. Wisdom says it can, and so we have God giving us a testing ground where we're going to be tested, and it's going to be on moral decisions, moral behavior. What was the right thing to do? What was the wrong thing to do? And He gives us wisdom to understand the difference, and a conscience to understand the difference. But there are things that our conscience, is going to have to grow into. You have to be taught correctly to know that's to get into the finer and finer and finer details. It's like with Hebrews chapter. We go to chapter 5, Hebrews 5 and verse 14. But solid food belongs to those who are full age, that is, those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. So that someone who does not have that full age about them, eating solid food, taking in solid food, that's spiritual food, solid food, who's not a full age, they have not had their senses exercised to discern both good and evil. All right, because they haven't been applying it. They haven't been applying it at all. There are things about the message of the cross. The message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing. Why? Why is it foolishness? Because they have not actually tested it. And with many, they don't want to. But it remains foolishness to them because their senses are not exercised to understand good and evil. They haven't taken it in. And, okay, so we go now, Proverbs chapter 8, verse 32. And now, O sons, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. This is continuing to be the voice of wisdom. And with wisdom, there's blessing, there's life, there can be long life. Everything good comes from wisdom. Hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. Blessed is the one who listens to me. Listens, all right, not just in the presence and heard it, but listens. And I remember it was an elementary school teacher that was talking. She wasn't talking to me. I probably needed to be talked to, but she was talking to somebody else. She said, "You hear, but you don't listen." And I thought, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? Is you have ears, and your ears are good. Your ears are better than mine, and you can hear everything I say, but you're not listening to any of it. And I thought, okay, what does that mean? You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention, and you're not taking it in. All right? Blessed is the one who listens to me, watching daily at my gates, waiting beside my doors. So not only is wisdom seen as going to the gates, going to the crossroads, going to the high places over the ways. Not only going to those places, but we're responsible also to wait and to watch and to be there for wisdom. Always there. This is a two-way street. Wisdom is there calling, accept the call. Now that you've accepted the call, always wait on wisdom, because wisdom is going to help you. So how does one wait on wisdom? Okay, actually it's very simple. Something occurs in your life, there is a question, and you don't know what the answer is. It seems like this is a moral decision. I don't know what the answer is. This is a new one on me. And it's going to see what wisdom has to say. Well, where are you going to do that? Well, it's going to be the text of the Bible. That's where it's going to be. You've got to go there to see what can we discover? What can we know? Because there will be principles that will help us through any question. And there may very well be direct statements that will guide us completely to where we can know for a fact that this is right and this other thing is wrong. We can know for a fact, but we may not know that immediately. It may be something entirely new. We've never come across that before. And someone giving you a question of, ooh, I've never heard of that, or that's coming from a different angle. I've never considered that. And so, well, it's going to wisdom now. You're going to wait at the gate, as it were, go to her door, as it were. You're going to need to ask, seek, and knock. You're going to need to do that. And ready to listen to wisdom. Ready. And not with an arrogance of thinking, I know it all. All right, that's going to get you in trouble. And not with an assurance, or not with the thought that it really doesn't matter anyway. What is it in, if you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof, you have that song, If I Were a Rich Man. Anyway, he said that people would come to him, if he were rich, people would come to him asking him difficult questions. Actually, the words are questions that would cross a rabbi's eyes. And then he said, what I answer doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. When you're rich, they think you really know. And so, well, that's a bad attitude, to think that it doesn't matter what you say, or it doesn't matter what someone that you highly respect may have said. Did they really know what they were talking about? All right, because they may not. An eldership may not know what they're talking about. A preacher may not know what they're talking about. Someone you think that's strong in faith may not know what they're talking about. But God always does. You go to Him. Okay? And so it's actually going to wisdom, not someone who is posing as wisdom's best friend. And I'll tell you what wisdom is. But it's actually going to wisdom herself. In this, wisdom is a woman. Folly is a woman. Okay? Also, you have the followers or the helpers of wisdom. We're going to see that as well, not too far from here. Matter of fact, in chapter 9, it's like her maidens. They call out as well. It's always feminine. Why? That's the way the Holy Spirit decided to do it. Could wisdom have been called a man? I suppose so. But he decides that wisdom is a she. And folly also is a she. And and also you've got the adulteress. Of course, that's a she. It could have been the adulterer, yes, but the adulteress. But you're going to think, okay, well, Proverbs is kind of hard on women. No, Proverbs is hard on hard people, on bad people, on foolish people. That you have the wicked men, that you stay away from those. You stay away from those with the perverse tongue. You say those are men. Those are after bloodshed. Those are men. Okay, but that would be real situations with real men. But we come to why have wisdom as a woman. I don't know, but you're going to find that in numerous places, such as the book of Revelation. Book of Revelation, you have the harlot that sits on that horrid beast. And you also have in chapter 12 the woman who is clothed in light. Okay, and could God have made both of those male? Well, yeah, could have, but didn't. And now, O sons, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Hear instruction and be wise, and do not neglect it. Blessed are those who listen to me, watching daily at my gate, waiting beside my door. For whoever finds me finds life and obtains favor from the Lord. But he who fails to find me injures himself. All who hate me love death. All right, now that's been said before, but in chapter 1, verse 18. That it's those men who lie in wait for blood. It's like they are a mob, they are a gang, they're out to rob and to, if they need to, kill. They don't have a problem with that either, if they need to. And they secretly lurk for their own blood. They don't know it. But one would have to think, like with some of these gang members, and mobsters too, mobsters in silk suits. They know that this ends in basically two ways. Well, three ways. Grave, prison, hospital. And not coming out of the hospital. And, seriously injured. To where, there's no real recovery in going back to regular life. They know that's where it leads, and yet remain on it. That this leads to the worst sort of place. And you may be killed by a victim defending themselves. You may be killed by a rival mobster or gang member who will do it. You may be killed by the police while they're defending the others and defending themselves. You may be killed by one of your own men. All right, that's a whole lot of death going on. And you're living with that, and you're okay with that. And Proverbs is saying, and I have no doubt it's true, because God is telling us that all who hate wisdom love death. That they are enjoying life while they can, and it's the way they're enjoying it is going to take them off the precipice, and it's the grave. That's where it is. And wisdom is here to help us in all things. Wisdom is here for us to have the right type of life here and prepare us for tomorrow here and also for eternity. That's why wisdom is given. And wisdom is shown as having a delight in us. And of course, this is God who has given us His wisdom. And of course, this is all done, as we have said, figuratively, poetically, and where wisdom is this very benevolent woman who wants the best for us. The best for us. Even when we disagree, wants the best for us nonetheless. Okay, we have come to the end of our class. Thank you for being here today.